Hey Kev, let's follow this trail over here. This looks like there might be something waiting down there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I thought it was just me. What the heck is that?
I don't know what that is. Whoa, do you smell that too?
That's unbelievable. Hey, look.
What the?
Hey, look, those branches are moving over there.
What the heck is that?
Holy cow, is that what I think it is? Look at that thing.
Oh my God.
It's a freaking Sasquatch. Welcome to the Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters podcast. I am your host, W.J. Sheehan, author of the series of books, 38 volumes in paperback, ebook, Kindle, and everything else you can imagine. Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters. And also, when you go on our website, bigfootterrorinthewoods.com, you can get direct links there to the books, ebooks, and also check out our shop. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Hats, magnetic bumper stickers, sweats, hoodies, underwear. No, not underwear. But now, there's a lot of cool stuff in there, folks. So go in there, check it out, order a book and a mug, and have a good time. And now, may I introduce you to my brother and co-host, KJ Sheehan. Kev, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, all kidding aside, folks, plenty of Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And stocking stuffers.
Yeah. If you got big stockings. You know what? Kev, one of our good friends and listeners to the podcast, Dave from Oregon, had another interesting thing happen to him out in the Salmonberry Canyon in one of their logging areas.
No, okay, not just trail cam stuff. This is something that happened to him he's out working.
Yeah, now, folks, these guys, for people who are unfamiliar with the industry, Dave and some of the guys go into the woods in the middle of the night in the dark and they're not taking trees down in the dark, but they are lit up on the landing area, backing trucks in, loading logs on trailers to get early loads out of the woods before daylight.
Yep.
So Dave is in a cleared area that's adjacent to standing woods, standing forest, with another guy in the middle of the night. And the two of them are standing there talking. And Dave hears this ungodly scream that he described as a banshee. I said, what did it sound like? He said it sounded like a banshee. So I'll leave that up to you, what a banshee sounds like. But he said it was about 50 yards away from him in the tree line. Super loud, a total freak out. But that wasn't the end of it. The scream lasted for about 10 seconds, and it was followed by two whoops. Whoop, whoop. Can you imagine that?
No.
And I said, Dave, that thing knew you guys were there. And I don't know if it was trying to communicate to you or ward you off or it was PO'd at you guys. You know, we don't know.
All of the above?
All of the above. And, but that place is rife. They've had so many sightings in there and evidential finds in that whole region in there. It just shows you that these creatures stake out a claim and, they intend to stay there. So I thought that was wild,
That's cool stuff. Yeah, Bill, otherwise things are good here. It's like Thanksgiving is coming, and Thanksgiving's a little late this year, so we actually put up some outdoor Christmas lights this weekend.
Okay.
First time we've ever done it before Thanksgiving, but it was nice. It was like 70 degrees on Saturday, so
wow.
Why not get out there,
I could go for 70.
If I put it off, it'll be snowing.
Yeah, you delay and you pay.
And you will be happy to know that I'm looking out my window here and I see the inflatable, lit up, abominable snowman in my backyard, taking a peek at me from across the yard.
Is that yours or in the neighbor's yard?
No, that's mine.
Okay.
He always is back there in the backyard in case somebody sneaks into the yard.
Yeah, they'll be frightened off by that fiend. It's the abominable snowman. Run for your lives. Remember that whole... Is this the abominable from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Oh, the one and only.
Yeah, yeah.
He's quite the bumble.
Right. I want to be a dentist. Remember that guy?
Oh, Herbie.
Herbie the elf.
Put a little heart in it, will ya? Oink, 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 oink.
That's
And
funny.
my favorite protagonist ever, Yukon Cornelius, carrying the 44 Magnum on his hip.
He was quite a character, you know. You know, on the show American Pickers...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this episode. I remember it from years ago because I thought it was fascinating. They walked in on one of these picks, you know, and they never really know what they're going to run across, you know. And this person had some of the original figurines used in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, like the posable claymation stuff.
And I was amazed how small they were.
Oh, yeah. Tiny.
I mean, we're talking like, you know, one of the reindeers was maybe 3 inches high at the head.
Ah, okay.
I mean, tiny. The abominable snowman was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 inches tall. So when we were watching that, they had those cameras really zoomed in to a miniature, you know, stage set. It was probably set up on a table.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crazy stuff. And
Yeah.
then, I guess then they didn't have to move it much, right? Because they did it in stop action,
Yeah.
frame by frame by frame, where they'd go in and move the stuff, take another frame. Boom.
Right. But
Crazy how they did it.
Yeah, who didn't like that stuff, though? That stuff is
it's
classic.
I mean, it's right there with my favorite all time, Davy and Goliath. Well, I don't know, Davy.
Yeah, that stuff was weird,
You
man.
shouldn't do it, Davy, because the Lord knows.
And that was put on by the United Methodist Church or something back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, interesting.
Cool, man. Well, let's transition from friendly Goliath to maybe a nasty Goliath.
Yeah, I'm going to revisit something here, Kev, that I know you're going to like. And this, let's call it a multifaceted, bizarre encounter. Was told to me by Preston Axelrod, a 76-year-old hunter from Dave's home state of Oregon. This is what Preston had to say. It was in the early fall of 1997 that what I am about to share with you transpired. I expect nobody to believe me. Nevertheless, the entirety of what I'm about to say to you, Bill, did happen, and in the exact fashion which I will convey to you and your listeners. I was solo hunting in the hill country of my state, on what I could call a dreary day at best, with a soaking drizzle falling from the sky since about 5 a.m. up until about 7 a.m. I hadn't seen anything worth bragging about and had sat down on a big old log to take a breather and have a smoke. What does breathing have to do with smoking? You'll have to talk to another smoker to get your answer. So anyway, there I sat, looking around in the mist and planning in my mind what my next move would be. It was then that my eyes caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a somewhat triangular dark shape in the woods, about 50 yards away from me. The more I focused on this shape, the more confused I became. It wasn't moving, and I couldn't make out for the life of me what it would or could be. So I stood up to walk over and have a look. After about the first 10 or maybe 15 yards, I now thought that what I was seeing was a black drop cloth hanging on a stump or something to that effect. Perhaps even a dark-colored rain slicker that had somehow been left behind by a hunter. It had a slight sheen to it from the soaking rain, and I moved ever closer. I don't think that I was now maybe 30 feet away from this thing when suddenly it rose up and turned. Let me tell you, I damn near jumped out of my skin and pointed my rifle squarely at it. Now, this is a difficult thing to describe because I'm looking at what I think may be a raincoat, which suddenly lifts up as I'm approaching and begins to twist. I took about 2 steps backward as this coat or cloak completes its turn. And then, staring at me with a pasty white complexion and the blackest, most expressionless eyes I have ever seen, is what appears to be a young boy, about 4 feet tall, if that. He said nothing and was staring at me in what I can only describe as the evilest and coldest way that I have ever experienced. I was momentarily stunned when I broke the silence, saying, "What are you doing here?" With that, this child or thing waves at me with its arm in a way that said, "Follow me." I was stunned, but something compelled me to follow at a distance, which I did. This boy was wearing a cloak that had a hood, and it ran down to the ground, kind of dragging along behind him as he walked. I had seen his face under the hood, and his forearm when he waved at me to follow, and his skin was as white as chalk. His eyes looking like those of a great white shark peering out from under the peak of the hood. He was now walking ahead of me, not turning so much as once to see if I was even following. And I was keeping a distance of about 30 yards at this point, fully expecting something to happen at any moment. Now, you may ask, why was I following at all? And that would be a logical thing to say. But all I can say is that I was not fully in control at the time. I felt as though I was being compelled by some strange force to follow, and so I did. I walked for about 20 minutes, following at the same distance, when the boy suddenly stopped and crouched back down in the very same way I had initially seen him. And I brought my rifle to bear once again, pointing it directly at him. The forest was deathly silent as I stood and waited, with my eyes darting here and there, looking for anything to move, fully expecting something to happen at any moment. 10 minutes must have passed when the boy once again rose, turning to face me, and extended his arm in a pointing motion up this hill that was to my left. Then he turned and walked away into the trees and was gone from view in a matter of seconds. A better description would be that of sliding away from me, like Gumby did in the old cartoon. The woods were fairly open where we were standing, and he seemed to just vanish as he walked away. It was like he dematerialized before my very eyes. When he vanished, I felt like a spell or something had been broken, similar to coming out from being under anesthesia, and I stood there trying to gather my thoughts. A few minutes had passed, and I had lit another cigarette, And as I approached a point where he had been standing, extending his arm in an easterly direction towards the hill, I began to look. There was a clear game trail meandering off into the woods, and I slowly began to follow the path heading up the hillside into the trees. When at about the midway point, I heard a deep grunt to my right coming from the woods. Turning quickly, I saw nothing, as a loud crack emanated from up the trail. And as I quickly spun in response to the crack, there standing in the middle of the trail some 50 feet away was an enormous Sasquatch. As I stood there looking up the hill at this beast, it was towering over me. So large was it that to my eyes it seemed to be well over 10 feet tall, and its shoulders extended off the trail, being obscured by the brush alongside. It was snarling, curling its mouth in a way that said to me I was a dead man, and I pulled the trigger. It darted off the trail so quickly that it was a blur, and if you ask me, I hit it squarely with the shot. I heard nothing. There were no running sounds, and I heard nothing fall to the ground. As I quickly fumbled to chamber another round, I turned to backtrack, and as I did, a roar erupted from the trees in the direction of where I had originally heard the grunt, and some of the trees began to shake violently. This was followed by a scream that sounded like something like a witch, and a cross between something like a witch and someone being murdered by a knife. It was horrific. I fired a second shot into the trees blindly in response to the scream, and I ran like hell down the slope. The scream kept repeating behind me as I ran, but I would not dare stop to look. I ran for about 15 minutes nonstop, until I had retreated to almost the same spot where I had initially encountered this black-eyed child or creature, and I stopped. I couldn't catch my breath, and I was in a frantic state which words cannot describe. It took about a half hour for me just to calm down to the point where I was able to walk. And walk I did. No further sounds were coming from the hill, and I saw nothing else on the way out. Having had much time to think about this, Bill, over the many years, to me, this black-eyed child, as you and Kevin call them, was some kind of hellish fiend sent to lead me to my death at the hands of the Bigfoot in the forest. And what the relationship between the two of them is, I have no idea. This Sasquatch was staring at me, and I couldn't distinguish between where its darkened eye sockets began and where its actual eyes were. They were like two demonic black indentations within its face. Its teeth were yellowed and cracked, with long scraggly hair hanging from its brow and the sides of its head. It was most definitely a male for obvious reasons, and its body mass was incredible. I don't know how I survived, Bill, but I'm here to tell you the tale. And now, you and your listeners have heard it for yourselves. There you have it, Kev.
Man, Bill, I was trying to figure that out, of course, while you were going through there. So do you think it was like a shapeshifter, some kind of evil shapeshifter, or something else?
Well, the fact that the two of these things were together, I don't think a black-eyed kid or a demon with black eyes has any relationship to a living creature in the woods.
No, well, I didn't know if the Sasquatch was actually a living creature or it was another demonic form or something.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm thinking that the fact that the two of them were together, I think it was both some type of demonic mimicking, a shapeshifter or some...
Yeah, that's where I was going with that, because that's just... But like what was his name? The person telling the story? He's
Preston Axelrod.
Axelrod. He was saying that basically no one's going to believe this. So you could see why he opens up that way. Pretty wild story there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wild ongoing.
Yeah, in actuality, when most people talk to me or when I get a hold of them, they say, I'm telling you this because I know you are not going. A lot of people say, I'm telling you this because I know you won't criticize me.
Of course, yeah.
And that's what he said. But the truth of the matter was that he was saying, whether anyone else believes it or not, it's up to them.
Sure.
But it's like I always say, Kev, I know the things that have happened to me are true.
Yeah.
And, I don't give a hoot if anybody else believes them or not. And that's that's how I made so many friends around the country, because people call me and they get it and I get it, and that's all that matters,
Crazy story though, and absolutely creepy, right? Like him following this little thing. He thinks it's a raincoat or whatever, and then it's this 4 foot tall. What did he say? It had the eyes of a shark.
Yeah, a white shark's eyes.
Yeah, perfect.
And we all know when you look at a shark, it's just like death.
Well, especially a white shark.
Yeah.
You don't get to look at that more than once usually.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Wow.
I'm very good.
Man, give me my legs back. That wasn't nice.
But Oregon, man, no coincidence. Dave has had several full-on encounters out there. His buddy Kelly, which I talked about once a while ago, his attack in his trailer. The other logging crews there have seen things, creatures, and, it's just amazing. They're out there. Tracks.
Intense.
There's a lot going on out there that just the general public doesn't care about or will not believe no matter how many times you say it to them. But interesting, heck, Kev?
Cool, man. Cool.
So what do you have in your Cryptids in the News and Other Oddities segment?
Yeah, we're going to continue your creepy tales with a little bit of creep here.
We like the creep.
I know you do, and our listeners do too. But we're going to go back to the city of Prague. If you remember, I was there a couple of months ago as part of my vacation in September.
Yes.
And I talked about the legend of the Golub, which is one of the evil creatures thought to roam Prague. And while I was there, I also heard of another creature, so I was saving it for a few weeks.
Wow.
And we're going to go there tonight.
Interesting.
And you're going to like this, Bill. This is the legend of the headless Templar Knight.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so rumor is that this headless Templar Knight on horseback roams some of the streets of Prague during the witching hour between midnight and 1 a.m. Lots of different people have seen this.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little about it. So, of course, it's the Knights of Templar, and speaking of which, the mystery of Oak Island is heating up again in a new season, and it seems like they're really onto something, perhaps, with the some of the Knights of Templar coming over there, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's some relationship with them and Knights of Malta, which was a spin-off of the Templars. If not them entirely, they would definitely one of the groups that had.
Yeah, well, and just a little bit of background on the Knights of Templar for the listeners. So they were formed in the 1100s. And they were knights, with armor and horses, and they were formed to protect pilgrims on their journey to the Holy Land, right? And they also became very known as being very smart and fierce warriors, and kind of are credited from some with starting the early stages of banking.
Yes,
also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good finances. And then they started to have their demise in the 1300s, where King Philip of France arrested many of them when they were in France and tortured them into giving false confessions.
Right, right.
And yeah, and then and they were Catholic knights, and after that, under pressure from France, Pope Clement ended up disbanding the Knights of Templar. So that's the quick Templar history lesson. So, why were they in Prague, Czechoslovakia, back then, the Kingdom of Bohemia? Well, they spread into the Kingdom of Bohemia in 1232 during the reign of King Wenceslas, and he valued them for their military experience and economic expertise. And
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, and he invited them in to establish a permanent presence in Prague, and they were granted significant properties. And so they were happy there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their primary residence was on this little street in downtown Prague called L.L.C Street. And that's significant because that's where this knight can often be seen.
Really nowhere else except this Lalova Street.
That's where most of the stuff happens, is right downtown. And Lalova is one of these creepy, windy streets in downtown Prague. Now, a lot of the streets are kind of creepy and windy,
So it's a tight old town over there, right,
old
Kev?
town, yeah.
Those little European streets that you can really
cars going down these little streets, right? Like they're real small.
Right.
Cobblestone as well.
So walking, maybe a bicycle if you could keep your teeth in your head.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about the, how this comes about here, the sightings. So the journey begins after midnight in the heart of the city of Prague. And as the crowds leave the iconic Charles Bridge, and of course the Charles Bridge is the main historic bridge, pedestrian bridge in Prague, the vibrant old town square goes quiet, and then the city's true ancient character emerges. And here, away from the main thoroughfares of the city, lies a labyrinth of narrow, winding lanes. And one of these is Lalova Street.
Kev, this footbridge, what does it go over?
It goes over the, what the heck is the name of the river? Voltana
Okay.
River that runs through Prague.
Okay.
I think I got that right, folks. It's off the top of my head. I may have got that wrong.
The only reason I even mention that before you continue is that there is always some kind of relationship between running water and strange goings on.
Oh.
But I'll leave that as you continue. That and limestone.
Limestone?
Yeah, there's something energetic about limestone under areas, cities, and/or aquifers, running water near rivers, and strange activity. Yeah, that's pretty well known amongst enthusiasts, but some may be hearing that for the first time, maybe even yourself.
Yep.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so this little street, Lalova Street, is often described as very creepy looking, my kind of street, with some Gothic facades that lean in, and the cobblestones are said to hold the memory of every footstep that's ever crossed them. Right, so picture you're there. And this spectral figure often appears, like I said, in the witching hour between midnight and 1 a.m. The apparition is that of a knight mounted on a magnificent white horse, but with a horrifying distinction. He's headless, carrying his own severed head in his right hand.
Wow.
This is the headless Templar of Prague, a phantom whose tale is woven deeply into the fabric of the city, yet his story is more than a simple ghost sighting. It's a mystery rooted in a brutal history with a resolution that has been sought for centuries. Very strange, right?
Yeah, I mean, and this is like our own headless horseman, right? which is
Yeah,
more
that's
like
what it makes me think of. Old Ichabod Crane.
yeah, yeah. Which was really there was no credibility given to that. I mean, that is like a story. Am I right? The one about Ichabod Crane. That
Yeah,
is,
I mean, it was written as a short story, but it may have been written about something that really happened.
yeah.
You know.
Wow, the
Yeah.
headless Knight Templar. So I'm sure he had one of their white robes on with the belt and the sword and the big
Yeah.
red
So we're gonna
cross.
yeah we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. So when he materializes, it's interesting because it's not like it's a translucent shadow of a figure, but it's actually very detailed. Like it looks real.
Hmm.
And the accounts describe him clad in the full armor and regalia of his order, wearing the distinctive Templar insignia, the
Hmm.
bright red cross emblazoned on the white cloth that he's
Hmm.
wearing over his suit of armor.
Hmm.
And this detail immediately grounds the Phantom into a specific historical context, right? This is not just any knight, but one of the knights of the Temple of Solomon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's on this, pure white horse and just kind of walking down the street. This
And they
giant
hear it.
horse.
They hear the
They
horse
hear it
on
too.
the
Yeah,
cobblestones,
sound and
clip clop, clip clop.
exactly on the cobblestones.
Wow.
So no one knows really. There's a lot of different stories about why he was, beheaded, but there is no real known reason for it. You know what I mean? Some of them are like he was being executed, and then he, went against his Christian vows. So now he's caught, like in between the living world and heaven or hell. He's
Now
kind of caught
a
in the
lot of
middle.
a lot of these knights were beheaded.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
they
yeah.
just took a sword or an axe, a broad axe, and boom,
Absolutely.
off with the head.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the Christians back then, they were everything was great until it wasn't.
Yeah. Yep.
A new leader came in and renounced Christianity, renounced the Knights of Templar, whatever it was, and then killed everybody.
Yeah. I believe that the king that took over actually owed the Templars so much money that he said, "Hey, I know how to get rid of my debt. I'll get rid of the people I'm indebted to."
Yeah, exactly.
And such was life back then. You could be rubbed out. It was a setup. Probably came barging in while he was sleeping or
Yeah,
totally unexpected.
a lot of corruption too. The king orders you to appear, and you're going to appear. You don't know he's going to kill you.
Right.
You know, so yeah, a lot of corruption back then. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff. But
Unbelievable.
I'll end the story with the legend says that the only way to send him into a more peaceful place is to kill his horse that he's riding on. It's kind of an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
But no one has successfully tried to kill the horse.
But who said kill the horse and free him or something?
This is legend.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years in Prague. Now, what's interesting too, I'm not saying it's this one because this is quite elaborate with a horse and a headless Templar Knight. But what's interesting, a little side note on Prague, you will often see people in costume, like weird costumes, just generally walking across the bridge, walking around town. And I was asking one of my friends that was born in the city of Prague, what's going on? Like, why all the costumes? And it's an interesting story. He says, because they were under communist rule from the Soviet Union until 1989. So, not that long ago, relatively speaking. And the communists, the Russians, were really spying on everything they did because it's this beautiful bohemian city. And like he was saying, my friend was saying that his mother was a Catholic and you were allowed to go to church, and they had Catholic churches in Czechoslovakia, but the Russians would be up in the top of the church, like keeping track of who came to church. And if you did come to church, they would punish you. Basically, you couldn't get food, you couldn't get work, you couldn't get whatever. Your kids couldn't go to school. So people would wear disguises,
Huh.
going into church. And then at night, if they were having a good time walking around town, just anybody, they might wear a disguise, wear a costume, because they had cameras and they'd be watching everyone all the time. So if they wore a mask or something dressed up like a ghoul, then, the Russians wouldn't know who it was.
I'm surprised they didn't come into the street and just grab the people that were in
Well,
costume.
if they thought they were doing something wrong, for sure. It's hard to tell if they were just out, having a few pops with their friends.
Yeah, I mean, they're evil dudes, man.
Really
just evil
Really
dudes.
evil. I mean, great, and that city is so beautiful. Like
So
for
your
folks
buddy,
listening.
through in the business world, I would gather, grew up in Prague.
He did. He grew up right in the center, District 1 of Prague.
How old a guy is this fellow?
He's my age, so
Okay.
yeah. But
All right.
he talks about the fact like his father was persecuted after the revolution. They called it the Velvet Revolution because there were no shots fired or anything.
Yeah.
And because his father was, I forget what they called it, but it was like, a good Soviet person, good Communist Party member, but he didn't believe in communism. But by being a member of the Communist Party, then he was able to take his children skiing and things like that. Like they would let them, go out and go on trips and stuff like that.
Yeah, a little bonus freedom.
Right. But he said, my friend said, after the revolution, some of the other folks were going after his dad, thinking that he really was a communist.
Wow.
So, no rest for the weary.
No, terrible situation.
Really bad.
We had a guy on a work crew that I used to do some work with many years ago. He had been a school teacher in the Soviet Union.
Yep.
He mentioned God, the word G-O-D, in one of his classes one day.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he was getting arrested. He did 10 years in prison for
Yeah.
using the word God.
Probably hard labor, too.
10 years.
Yeah, they didn't mess around.
And when he got out, somehow he made it over to the States and was doing some work with this construction outfit. So
Thank God or God.
yeah, unbelievable. So the headless Knight Templar.
Yeah. In the city
Creepy,
of Prague.
man. Black-eyed kids, Sasquatch, headless knights. And by the way, folks, if you're new to this show, we do this segment, Cryptids in the News and Other Oddities. Well, it could be anything. Odd, unusual, Bigfoot-related, UFO, whatever we...
Yeah, recent news story, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever we decide to take a look at. And if you have any ideas or anything you'd like us to look into, go to BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com and hit the contact button. Let us know the topic, and perhaps it will be turned on in the future.
Email them over. Email those ideas over.
Excellent. So what do we got in our listener mail today, Kev?
Speaking of black-eyed kids,
Oh, my God.
Truman writes in. And Truman says, "Hi, WJ and KJ. I listen to your podcast on iHeartRadio, and I love your shows. I started listening only 2 months ago, and I was watching Monsters and Mysteries on TV, and they had an episode about the black-eyed kids.
Oh.
They were in Badlands. I have to say, this time they didn't ask for a phone. The man said he was signing a check in the middle of the night in an empty parking lot, and 2 of them just walked up and knocked on his window."
Oh, my God.
How do you like that?
Yeah.
And they said, "We just want to ride home to our mother because we forgot our money for a movie that we wanted to see."
God, could you imagine turning your head to a tap on the window and you're like, oh,
Two black-eyed kids, and then they tell you they just want to ride home
yeah. Oh, my
to their
God.
mother.
Put the car in drive and mash it.
Maybe throw it in reverse and run them over. But they might grab onto the bumper and pick it up or something.
Yeah.
You never know.
I think if I was even in the Corvette, I might do a circular burnout and just run them over.
And then Truman, no, he shifts gears a little bit after that tale of creep, and he says, I also want to say you both are hilarious and are doing a great job with the podcast. Thank you for everything you both do. Well, thank you, Truman, for listening, and thanks for bringing up the black-eyed children.
Oh, boy,
We
man.
love the black-eyed children.
Oh, God. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
Yep. I got one more email for you from Mike, and Mike is from up north in Canada.
Okay.
And the subject is Old Yellow Top. And he says there's an old story that still makes it around the coffee shops and campfires of Cobalt, Ontario. They say a strange creature has been wandering the hills for more than 100 years. A tall, shaggy figure covered in dark fur, except for a patch of bright yellow hair on its head.
Huh.
Folks around here call him Old Yellow Top. The first sighting goes all the way back to 1906 when miners swore they saw a half-man, half-beast watching them from the bush near one of the old silver mines. They said it walked upright and disappeared just as quickly. In 1923, the North Bay Nugget even ran a short article about two prospectors who saw it again standing on a ridge above their camp, yellow hair glowing in the sunlight. More stories came in 1946, this time from miners near Gillies Depot. They said it wasn't a bear. It moved like a man, strong and fast, with that same yellow-topped head. The Nugget referred to it as half man and half beast.
Wow.
And then it keeps going, Bill. In 1970, a busload of miners headed home near Cobalt claimed they saw it cross the road right in front of their headlights. The driver, Amy Lattrell, told the Nugget it wasn't a trick of light. It walked like a man, he said, and that yellow head was clear as day.
So we're talking many decades have gone by with these
yeah.
sightings.
Yeah, and this could be, Sasquatch, and we know some of them are kind of like blonde, right? With like the light brown head or blonde head, kind of like grizzly bears too.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
But thank you for writing in. That's a great tale. I hadn't heard about it, Mike. Good stuff. Old Yellow Top.
Kev, when it just came into my mind, and I want to backtrack for a second. Do you remember the account coming from the guy who had gone up to the fire tower by Spokane?
Oh, yeah, because I used to go to that fire tower.
Right,
yeah.
You said you had been to that fire tower.
Yeah.
What was the name of that mountain? Do you remember?
Mount Spokane.
Okay, Mount Spokane is a limestone mountain.
Oh, okay.
And if you recall, he was looking down into like a little valley-like area and saw that little girl in a white dress twirling around. Do you remember that?
I forgot about it, but now you mention it, I remember it.
Yeah, and he started feeling bad because he didn't see anybody else with her.
Yep.
So he was thinking, like, maybe she's lost. I got to get down there and check into this for her safety's sake.
Sure.
And when he got down there, I forget the particulars, but didn't he see her? And then, like, she crouched down, and when she got up, she was this massive Bigfoot-like creature walking.
I knew it was some kind of shape-shifting, kind of like your account tonight.
Yeah. That's, you see that the limestone, the running water, hauntings. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. It's too blatant to be ignored.
Agree.
And a lot of people do ignore this stuff. We know how it is,
Oh, yeah.
They want to call what's white black and black white. Well, fine. I call it as I see it. You want to see the black slicker hanging on a stump like Preston Axelrod didn't say it's a white slicker. Well, go ahead, my friend.
All good.
Interesting. Well,
cool, man. Well, great podcast, Bill. Folks, thank you for listening. Keep those 5-star reviews coming in. If you haven't left us one lately, go to your favorite player and leave us a 5-star review. It's virtually the only way we have of attracting new listeners, and by having more listeners, it's easier for us to stay on schedule and keep the high quality material coming your way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome, Kev. Awesome job. Great couple of accounts out of a vacation you went on, huh?
Well, I'm always looking, Bill. Always looking.
Yeah, and there's odd stuff going on all over the world.
No doubt.
I mean, so we're not isolated here, especially in the information age. In years gone by, how would you know what went on in Prague?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You'd
No.
think, it's like the first Bigfoot accounts that, the ordinary American was made privy to. Of course, the indigenous people knew about these things, but your average Joe or Jane in the United States, Bigfoot came out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, I'm sure there was still plenty of people around that had seen these things or knew of them, but most people, I didn't know about it.
Nope.
So it's that way in life. Well, folks, remember this. If you should find yourself walking around in the timber in Oregon, Montana, Idaho, upstate New York, wherever you may be, always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. Sleep tight.